Every weekend, I look forward to getting out there. It's a freedom like no other. It's part of who I am. If you ride, you know what I mean. That's why I insure with Shannon's. They get it. They share our passion and give us the features riders want, like limited use cover and multi-vehicle discounts. Shannon's insure all types of road bikes, not just classics. Whatever you ride, ride with Shannon's.
Call 134646 for a quote.
Rare Spares has over 50,000 product lines and releases over 500 new products every year. Your local Rare Spares distributor has what you need when you need it. And as the only restoration company officially backed by Holden and Ford, we take our part in your project very seriously. Rare Spares, more than just a part in your project.
Out of the way.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a massive night of racing here on SRWtv. It's round number 4 of the SRW Warren and Brown Tools IMSA Shadow Series here out at Sebring. And joined once again by my side by Peter Gretton. Peter, this track, well known for sports car racing, of course, the Sebring 12 Hour and also the 1,000 Miles of Sebring, all normally happen on the same weekend, but this time it's SRW's turn to roll around here in sports cars and prototypes.
Yeah, good evening, Hamish, and good evening to everyone watching along. We were just talking off air, weren't we, mate, that these drivers are going to have an absolute cracker out here tonight. It's going to be a great Friday night because they're well-versed. They've done thousands of laps, if not 10,000 of laps, some of these drivers, Hamish, so we're going to see an all-class fight in both the classes tonight, GTP and GTE.
Yeah, 100% on that one there. Although we're not out there in GTEs here tonight, of course, since GTEs are, well, classified as deceased pretty much. It's, of course, the GT3s. If this was an IMSA series, they would be titled GTDs. Don't even get me started on how much of a pain that is to try and say when broadcasting GT3 racing and remembering, no, it's not 3, it's D at the end of the acronym. But we got about, I think it's about 20 odd drivers out there here tonight. Pretty even split between the GT3s and the GTPs out there, Peter. This track, of course, as mentioned, you know, well known as a sports car giant of the world. Built, of course, on a former army base here. They still do rocket launches out at this track. Of course, they did one on the weekend of Super Sebring earlier this year. Where do you think these drivers are going to really have to concentrate on being consistent at any point of this circuit? Where do you think is going to be the real, I guess, danger zone, as we normally call it, that they need to make sure that they are as clean as possible?
Well, you've got the undulations, and you've also got the paved area here at Sebring as well. So the sort of the surface changes is going to be one that can throw them off. But you got that right hand hairpin. You've got to be really ginger on the throttle out of that, and also final corner can catch you out. So there's probably about 2 or 3, possibly even more places to look at. But one thing that throws me off here, Hamish, is the sort of the surface changes.
Yeah, mate, could not agree with you more on that one. The service changes around here are super, super important to be wary of as we get into qualifying now for the GT3s. Of course, the GTPs will be coming out at the latter end of this session. This is how the drivers currently stand, with around about 5 minutes to go, 6 minutes to go in their portion of the session. Of course, 30-minute session, Peter, separated directly down the middle. First 15 minutes go to the GT3s, the second 15 minutes go to the prototypes. Adam Hughes currently on pole at the moment with a 1:59.489. And with his return into the series after a couple of weeks away, he's looking incredibly strong once again to nab that top step of the podium.
Well, it's going to be a run home for him, isn't it? He's put himself on the back foot, but he must back himself. Obviously, out of sim commitments, has seen him have a couple of weeks off, so he's back. He's going to be strong. 1:59.4 plays a 1:59.6, so that's the top 2. Greg Barber, I was watching him throughout practice that was on earlier, and also in this session. He's no slouch. He's going to be right up there tonight with Hughesy. I think he's just going to be right on the back of him in the crucial stages of the race, because you don't want to let Adam Hughes go, because he loves driving away into the sunset, as we've seen through the first few rounds.
Well, I recall back to a couple of seasons ago when we had the GT3 championship. Top 2 in that championship were both the CXR drivers, Adam Hughes, Greg Barber. Both these boys are incredibly strong in these GT cars. And, you know, even with Alexander Gadochis, who's taken out a win this season, both of them still have something to prove here. And they still have something to kind of show off that these guys are still the measuring stick in terms of GT racing within the SRW world. And I know that they are incredibly happy that some GT racing is back on this channel and in this league in some form of capacity.
Yeah, they're hard series to keep running, aren't they? They dwindle numbers up and down, and it's hard to maintain, but a lot of people are happy, as you rightly mentioned. Those 3 drivers, Hughes, Barber and Ganotis, they're going to be 3 to watch, and a name that I'll throw in there as well, Harry Dodds. I feel that he missed the trick last week. I think he was on for maybe the 2nd place or even the win at one stage, but I think he may have come home just on 3rd step, if I recall. So watch Harry Dodds get through, but battling a little bit of inconsistency sometimes in these cars.
I mean, he is the only Merc out there, of course. We know how good this thing sounds when it is on full power down a straight. And I mean, it is really a crowd favourite in terms of some circuit selections. I remember leading up to some of the Nürburgring 24 hours, this car was the favourite for some drivers. Then it kind of moved over to when the new Porsche came out. But, I mean, it's good to have at least some representation for every manufacturer out there. We even finally have a Lambo out there in Callan Hodgkinson for CXR as well. Getting to set a lap time, but we'll see what he can do here when he crosses the line. I don't think this time will be competitive, so we'll have to see what he can do on this flyer.
I was chatting with Cal earlier, mate, and he's had plenty of practice around here, and he was quite happy with his performance last night in the 86s at Snetterton. So he's coming into this round full of confidence, albeit it's a different series. But he's done lots of practice around here. He feels fast. Let's see what he can do here. He's green in the first sector currently, but he's coming into this round with some confidence. Maybe there's 4 or 5 drivers in this class to watch here tonight.
I think the Lambo is a very interesting choice. This car's been very hot and cold over the time that it has been out on iRacing. I think, it's one that can suit certain tracks, certain track dynamics. Not 100% sure how well it's going to do around Sebring. I think kind of leading into the last, probably around the 12-hour last time, I believe it wasn't really the strongest car. Now, it could have changed with the most recent BOP updates. But definitely an interesting choice. But it's good to see one out there, because this was, at one point in my iRacing career, this was actually one of my favourite GT cars back in the day when it first came out, and I'd love to see it on the top step once again.
Yeah, that'd be nice too. And also, if you have a look at this car standing still, it looks like it's going 100 mile an hour anyway. So it's a sleek-looking bit of machinery, and even better inside. Have a look at this Hurricane GT3. And concentration for Hodgson. He's got a 4 out of 5 green sectors there, mate. So far flat, but not too sure where it's going to put him in terms of the leaderboard.
Well, he's currently running 55 as he comes around the final corner. Now the timing could be slightly off here on where it could actually place him. We'll see what he can do when he crosses the line. Gets home. He does a 2-minute .6. That's good enough for P5 at the moment. That's not a bad time. But Greg Barber, he can be on here for an absolute blinder. 2 purple sectors, one being the first sector, another one being the 5th. He also had a green in the second sector. What's the lap time like when he crosses the line? Good enough for Pole at the moment, Pete. He does a 59.4, bettering Hughesy's 59.4. It's going down to the 100th there. 4.8 for Hughes, 4.4 for Barber. It's looking pretty good for those CXR boys at the moment.
Oh, they must have done a lot of practice, and it's all about go time. And when they hit race, this team, they race. It doesn't matter if they got the same colours. They may be a little bit more gentlemanly, but once we see some green lights going, these guys, if they're side by side, as they are at the minute in Provisional 1 and 2, it's game face on, and they'll work together, but come to that critical point, they're just going to go for it, irrespective of themselves being teammates.
Sure, I've just realised actually as well, my headphones have just done a naughty on me. They've told me that battery's low, so I just got to quickly change over my headset to another headset very, very quickly. So we'll go on board with Alexander Ganotis here. We'll see what he can do for a lap time just for a second, just while I change this so we don't constantly hear my headset saying battery low for the whole time. So we'll return to you after Alexander's lap.
This machine here, it's a Porsche frame. Only one, oh, there's actually 4 in this class, but let's crank it up and have a listen.
Look at this lap at the moment here from Patrick Frame. Unfortunately, Ganotis decided to back out of the lap once he knew he was going to be getting focused on there. But Patrick could be an improvement here. He's got 2 green sectors, Peter. He's looking pretty good at the moment. Let's see what he can do when he crosses the line in that Porsche.
Time to beat. Let's see what he can do. That Porsche, it sounds awesome. It caught me out. I thought it may have been the only one there, but the first 3 there, sitting in first, second, and third. Let's see if Patrick Frame can join the Porsches, and maybe the Porsches are the one to beat. 2 minute flat .7 not quick enough to get up there with the other Porsches, but the Porsches looks like the car to be.
Yeah, mate, that it's looking incredibly strong around here. I remember back to the SIMSA 7-hour around Sebring, as well as the official 12-hour. Those Porsches were definitely the car of choice at that point in time. GTP's now out on track. We're focusing on Brandon Grock. We've seen he's been one of the strongest competitors in the field this season. Of course, last week's winner, Jack Michelson, away this week. He's up working at the Supercars round in the Gold Coast. Of course, he works for us as a mechanic. So big hello to Jack. Unfortunately, he has to miss this round after taking a win. Not really able to benefit from his win and take that momentum into the next round, but we'll see what he can do when he does return to the series. But Brandon, I mean, he's been strong this season as well, Pete. Of course, he was strong out at Watkins Glen, and I'll be very interested to see what he can do here. Very similar style of circuit to Watkins is Sebring.
Yeah, well, you have a look at the livery he's wearing, Frog Leap Juice. That means, well, they do a lot of enduros, so plenty of knowledge about this track, and most definitely one to watch without Mitchelson. And I tell you, living the dream. He's up here in Queensland for the Gold Coast. I'm up here as well. We've turned on the weather right when we don't want it, but he's going to be very competitive out here tonight. Grotch and Mitchelson, I think he'll be able to back it up, just what we've seen last week.
Troy Maguire at the moment, he had a couple of purple sectors, but they have been bettered by a couple of drivers. So now Maguire wants to try and do the best he can. He's got one purple at the moment, all greens. Of course, hasn't set a lap time yet, so majority of these drivers should have all green sectors. And we just saw that on screen then. Maguire went purple, then it went to Simpson, then it went to Hasler as they all came through that section of track. Let's see what lap time these boys can do as they cross the line to finish their first flyer. See here who can get pole position, or at least provisional pole position at the moment for the GTPs. Hasler goes top, 143.7. Simpson 144.5. Delaney 144.9. But O'Reilly beats them all, 143.2. An absolute ripper lap from Jacob O'Reilly. And Grotch goes top though. The first into the 42s, 42.989. So many nines, I'm getting confused. But what an absolutely ballistic lap time there from Brandon Grotch.
42.9, how good is it? I thought the 0.5 of a second gap between, I don't know which driver it was now, the first few times that we called out, they were up the top, and then they just got shuffled down. But 142.9 early in the piece from this guy right here. He's setting the tone, and it's going to make them other blokes work for it, I think.
I've lost where Troy Maguire is. Here he is here. His first lap mustn't have actually counted, but he's gone double purple first two sectors, then green, and then an orange in the fourth. This could be a better lap time. Remembering that orange sector doesn't necessarily mean it's worse. It could be as good as the first time he went through that sector. So this could still be an absolute ripper lap from him as he comes around onto the back straight. Let's see what he can do here over through these final, it's almost like a double apex corner down at the end of this straight, Pete. I mean, he's got some good pace about him at the moment.
You can trip yourself over here as well. This is one of the...
Oh, and as you say that, he does it. Oh, he nearly caught it. But that's going to be a tow back to pits for him. Ash de Vries, new driver out there, of course. You could almost say he's been swapped out for Michelson for Velocity Racing Team. He currently sits P6 on debut here in qualifying, just kind of traversing around the outside of the track, trying to stay out of people's way whilst he gets ready to go on another flyer in his BMW. Jordan Ferguson, his teammate, yet to set a lap time in this session. Same with drivers like Chris Tomlin, Keegan Caldwell, Troy Maguire, and Jake Edwards. So we'll have to see what those 5 drivers can do here before the end of this session with only 9 minutes to go, Peter.
You wouldn't want to waste too much time, would you, mate? You want to get that banker down, as we've seen the top, 5 or 6 drivers really hammer home a good banker lap. 142.9, still that time to beat, but it's O'Reilly now with a 9.47, plays a 9.89, so it's down to the wire, it's down to the hundreds, 0.4 of a second. Only 2 drivers in the 2s, only 1 in the 3s, and well, the rest of them in the top 10 in the 4s. Not much of a field spread.
Well, I know Luke Crum there. Crummy's gone P4 off the back of that last lap. He did a 44.1. nearly made it into the 43s, wasn't quite close enough. For Jordan Ferguson's time, though, 146. That's not going to be anywhere good enough for a top 10 at the moment. He needs to really better that lap time. But I know you know Chris Tomlin, Peter. I'm sure you know Crummy as well. Has he mentioned that he's the most famous man in the GR86 field?
No, he hasn't. He hasn't. He's cocky naturally, I think. So he probably has said it, and it slipped my mind just thinking, oh, yeah, righto. But he's popular wherever he goes. He's a good bloke.
Yeah, Crummy's a good egg. I remember I did a Sebring 24-hour with him a couple of years ago. It was literally the night before he was flying into state, so he got all of his stints out of the way, and then it was basically me on my own for a little bit. But he was still watching the race happening, and I remember he came back and he said, oh, I was watching, and he's like, he's just setting quicker lap times after quicker lap times. As Brendan Grotch goes top of the timing tower, 142.139. So we're nearly into the 41s.
Now, I tell you, 42.139, that's going to be a time to beat. Can we get into the ones? That's going to be surprising. What's the time? You're more versed in this style of racing than I am, Hamish. What's the quickest time you've seen around here in a GTP car?
I think that's probably it. I think that is genuinely the fastest time I've ever seen here in a prototype. That's got to be rivaling real world lap times. Let me have a look at this here.
42.1 plays 42.9. That's 0.8 of a second with only 6.5 minutes to go. Provisional pole for Grotch. And good call earlier, mate, because you did say that he's going to be hot favourite to take this one out.
So just for reference, the fastest lap time this year on the 12-hour weekend was Sebastian Bourdais, a 1 minute 45.166. So all of the drivers in the top 10 are currently beating that lap time. And that was the pole lap by Bourdais this year at the 12-hour. So that is some absolutely ballistic pace out of that Cadillac. Same machinery, of course, although Bourdais having to drive it in the real world, maybe a bit of different weather patterns and stuff like that. But that is an absolutely ballistic lap from Grotch out of the Caddy.
Yeah, 100% it is the ballistic lap. And I just want to check something if we can, Hamish. The 212 of Tomlin, he's reading a 47.2. I believe he's in the wrong class. We did have that drama last week as well, but definitely not in the GT3. So yeah, Greg Barr leading that.
He did say that he was going to change classes as of last week, and he had changed over. Now, I'm not sure if that change is actually if it actually does stand and it's actually stayed the same. I think when I did send you the SDK thing, I thought I told you that Chris had changed. I may not have. But yeah, because he only told me the night of the race last week that he actually changed classes to GTP.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
I'm going to assume that it has been allowed. I know there was questions whether it was allowed for him to change classes, but he gave up all of his points in GT3 to change classes, so although he didn't have that many because of the poor effort out of Sebring, out of Watkins, and missed the first race as well. So, but as Jordan Ferguson, we said it before, he got a 146 earlier. He's just gone faster than Crummy to go P4, 144.118 there, about 0.03 of a second faster than P5. So that's a quality lap time out of that Porsche. It's currently the only Porsche out on track here for the GTPs, and we've seen before this car's not necessarily the strongest overall, but he is pushing hard to get that car far up the field.
Yeah, well, you got to at this stage. We've only got 4 minutes. Is he going to get another one? That's what he's looking at the minute. 44.1. It's a cracking time. I think he's still got more in it. But to catch the next driver, mate, he's got a little bit of work to do.
Yeah, about 0.7, as this lap will now have to end because he had to cross that corner there. So this lap will be deleted. He'll probably have, I would say, 2 more laps he could possibly get in here. When he crosses the line, it's going to be about 27 minutes out of the 30. Remembering that these lap times are about 1 minute 40, so depending if this session ends directly as the half an hour ends, or if he can actually finish his lap, that's what's going to be the determining factor when he crosses the line to start that final lap. But we'll have to wait and see what he can pull out. As Jake Edwards, he's currently P13. He's all greens at the moment, so he could be on for an improvement right now. His best lap time so far, Peter, 1:44.87. This could be a pretty good lap from him here if he can hold it together.
Yeah, we've seen Edwards really be comfortable in these cars throughout this season, hasn't we? And he's getting comfortable and comfortable as the rounds go on, and he's fairly consistent now, 44.8. That's saying he's pretty close to a lot of drivers as well. So he's going to be in the thick of it and see if his experience and his knowledge of this track can pull off. But he looks comfortable, definitely, and 44.8 is definitely nothing to sneeze at. I reckon he's going to improve here. All greens.
See what he can do across the line. Goes P3, 1:43.395. An absolutely phenomenal lap. That'll be the end of his qualifying. He's not going to have enough time, I think, to come round and get another lap in, although he is going to attempt it. We'll have to wait and see what he can do. That now drops Hasler into P4 and Ferguson off the second row of the grid down to P5. What can some of these other drivers do, though? Keegan Caldwell yet to set a better time. He's on a couple of greens through the final corner. What can he do? We've seen him struggle in this car, Peter. Hopefully he's had a bit of practice and been able to improve some racecraft in it. What does he do when he crosses the line? Only goes 46.651. So still not a ballistic time, but an improvement for sure.
Yeah, definitely an improvement. So he's probably just maybe one of those that sprints home from work, jumps in the sim, and a bit of a loose moment there. But the practice in the session quite possibly be his only practice. That's obviously just a matter of opinion, I guess. But that could be why he's down on a little bit of pace, but it's getting quicker. So that's he's looking in the right direction as we go on to Hasler now. A couple of greens for him also. Still 2.7 seconds off that pace of Grotch.
Well, I mean, Grotch's time was almost alien. It's out of this world, so it's not surprising that the interval is 2.7 or about 2.8 seconds back to P4. But this lap, I mean, the middle sector not being an absolute flyer, could be as good as his previous best. But those two opening sectors, could they be the key here to unlocking a better lap time out of this Cadillac GTP car? It's really going to be dependent now on these last two sectors. Can he keep it clean through the final corner as he makes his entry in? We saw Troy Maguire make a mistake through here earlier. How does he go on this time by?
So you've just seen O'Reilly just go over the line 42.5. And where does... goes up.
He does.
33.2. So look at that time. And 42.1 was a blistering. It was 0.8 of a second between the gap between these. Then O'Reilly's answered and saying, whatever you can do, mate, I'm right there to push you. Only now down to 0.4 of a second between them top two. So good comeback for O'Reilly. Very good comeback. But let's see what the rest of these other boys can do.
Well, Ferguson, I believe, the last person across the line here to do a competitive lap time, does not better his time on that lap, so P6 is going to have to do him just fine. Harley Bragg in the chat. Grotchy's #1 fan, so Grotchy gets up on the top step, and Harley will be a happy viewer here tonight to see his favourite driver up on the top step.
Yeah, he's going to be over the moon, and so should he. Long way stands between that though, but we can see you all there, the viewers. Stay, get your comments in. We'll try and stay interactive throughout tonight's broadcast and try and keep up with yous. But going to be a cracking race. What do you reckon? 42.1, that was the time. But the top 2 to 3, there's not much split in them, and that mid pack is going to be where it's at in the GTP, I think, or the GT3 there. They're always battling in the mid-pack, or the top probably 4 or 5 cars, and then the mid-pack is pretty strong as well, but we'll stay all over that.
My former broadcast colleague, Jack, is in the chat at the moment. He's just asked you the hardest question of all, Peter. Pineapple on pizza.
Well, am I going to get shot down, but yes?
I mean, everyone's allowed to have their own opinion. It's not my
There's
first. It's not my first choice. I'll say that.
two
But
types of people in this world: people that have pineapple on their pizza and people that don't.
exactly, it's like 50% of the population that enjoy coriander and 50% that don't. You know, you're either. But the problem is, some people say, you're either with us or you're against us. But regardless,
Do
that,
mate. It now is your 1/3 of the non-eating pineapple, as I believe Jacko is a pineapple eater on pizza as well. So you're the odd one out here, Hamish. Sorry.
I know I am. But here is our provisional qualifying results there for the GTP class. Of course, Grotch getting on pole position with an absolutely wild time of 142.139. Connor Nixon not quite able to set a lap time in this session. And then Chris Tomlin, of course, only was able to set his really one fast time. He wasn't quite on the pace. If we then check out the GT3s, of course, they were out there for the first time. Well, not out there for the first time, they were out there first here. Greg Barber takes Racecraft Equipment pole position in the CXR machine. 159.446, 0.043 of a second ahead of his teammate Adam Hughes there at the end of qualifying. As we will now bring up our starting grid for tonight, with Brandon Grotch starting out of pole position for Frog Leap Juice Racing, just ahead of Jacob O'Reilly on the front row of the grid alongside. Scott Hausler, Brandon's teammate, will start at a P3 just beside CXR's Jake Edwards at a P4. Adam Simpson will start at a P5 for Fishy Motorsports here tonight, just alongside Jordan Ferguson from Velocity Racing Team at a P6. Luke Crum will start at a P7 just ahead of the young gun Ty Delaney at a P8, with his teammate Chris Miller starting at a P9. Ashley DeVries will start at a P10 here tonight on debut for Velocity Racing Team, a quality effort from him in qualifying. Just pipping out Doug Gowans at a P11, an SRW almost local legend there out of the Grandpa in P11, just ahead of Matthew Gerard at a P12, his teammate for Velocity Sim Labs. Troy Maguire will then start at a P13 for Fishy Motorsports, just ahead of Cam Hardwick at a P14, with Keegan Caldwell for Rapid iRacing coming in at a P15. Chris Tomlin will then start at a P16 for LCR Esports, with Connor Nixon unable to set a lap time in qualifying as mentioned, starting at a P17 for Vermilion Motorsports. We then go on to the GT3s, with Greg Barber for CXR starting at a P18, just ahead of his teammate Adam Hughes as mentioned at a P19, with Ryan Green for Alpha Venturi Racing starting at a P20, just ahead of Corsa Rosso's Alexander Ganotis at a P21. Harry Dodds for Frog Leap Juice Racing will start at a P22, just ahead of CXR's Callum Hodgkinson at a P23, with Patrick Frame starting at a P24 here tonight. And then go down to Michael Schroeder for Accelerate Sim Racing at a P25, with Marty Mitchell from MX Raps Limit Bashers at a P26, with Aaron Schroeder starting at a P27, just ahead of Sean Benici at a P28. Our race controllers Stefan McCartan and Tyson McAvoy really aren't doing the business here tonight, being in the safety car and also checking out any incidents that happen. Peter, this race is going to be absolutely epic.
It is going to be epic. Have a look at them. The times were very close in qualifying. We've already mentioned that. And well, when we get down here into to turn one, they've got to just be a little bit smart, don't they? But it's going to be a cracking race, and 1 hour I think we're going for tonight, mate. It's going to take some race brains to get through the stages that throws up, break up the race into parts, I think.
I've just had a message from Race Control in the chat. Harry Dodds has got a rear of grid penalty, so he will start from the rear of the GT3 field, and Jake Edwards has forgotten to grid up, so he will have to start from the pit lane here tonight. That's it's not what you want after having a really, really good qualifying session, getting into P3 in qualifying, and then just having a drop like that. A real unfortunate mistake for him.
Yeah, well, that's how the cookie crumbles, and that's racing. I think that's what we're going to put that down for. But a couple of lessons learned there for a couple of drivers. I'm guessing Harry didn't do a cool-down lap last week, and well, forgetting to grid up. Two lessons learned. You're going to learn the hard way, but I tell you, it's going to be good fun for them drivers to get through from the back.
So luckily for us as well tonight, Peter, we actually have quite a nice gap between the GTPs and the GT3s, so we should actually be able to see both sets of cars go across the grid for the start here. As we can see, Roch, he's got his teammate Hasler right in behind him. He these boys are going to want to try and take advantage, almost double team Jacob O'Reilly beside them here, and do whatever they can to get that advantage off the start and get into the top two.
Yeah, it's just very fortunate for them guys to be together like that off the start. We know tracks like this, enduro laps, you try and run around with your teammate, but to be like that, the way they are in front of one another off the start, that's a real benefit for them too, and let's watch them push on.
Stop waving in the back, bro.
Let's see here how we go off the start for the GTPs. Red lights are up and they are racing down towards turn number 1. How are we going to go here on the first lap? Let's see them come around the first corner, and then we'll double check where the GT3s are, as Grotch and Hasler are now 1 and 2, leading the way just ahead to Adam Simpson in P3. But here come the GT3s around the final corner. Let's see what they can do off the race start here. Could we see 2 sets of grids led by teammates, P1 and 2, off the start here, Peter?
Oh, it's going to be it's going to be one for the record book if they do. Here we go. Greg Barber's gone. We've got green lights, I do believe, and we're down for the GT3s once again, and not so fanning out for these guys, but we merged like a zipper down there at turn 1, and both classes get off to a good start, but we got a GTP car up in the distance.
It's Jacob O'Reilly. He's off the circuit. It's back on the circuit now. Ashley DeVries, I believe, has also been involved with something. He's missing a rear wing. As Matt Gerard is now just making up some free spaces here. We'll try and get a replay going at the end of the first lap. See the GT3s come down towards the hairpin corner.
Yeah, Greg Barber, we did say when he was qualifying that he's going to be strong out there, and he's managed to lead a big train behind him, and he got away nice and clean, but got a hungry. They're like little bees behind him if we listen. Very angry bees.
They are, as the GTPs now come round to finish their first lap. Both these Frog Leap boys leading the way quite comfortably at the moment. If we go down the interval, we can see what the gaps are looking like. Let's try and get some replays happening here off that first lap. So we had Matt Gerard go off track quite early there on the first lap. There wasn't, it appears to be down turn 2. Oh, there was a car spun round earlier. Just nowhere to go there for Crummy. I think it was. I think it might have been Troy Maguire going off track.
That was a big incident. What happened here? Oh, maybe a little bit of neck, maybe a little bit of contact there, but big sands down there and not much braking about him. And he's just seen in the back of that replay that there was the velocity car there. There we go. There just was caught up in that as well.
Of course, we saw Jacob O'Reilly off track. This was how it happened. It was down at the hairpin. He's got the inside line. Oh, just loses it on the curb. He must have beached the car slightly, and that's what's done it. And then, of course, Connor Nixon as well has had an incident. Just trying to catch it up as much as we can at the moment. See here, he was trying to make his way through the field, of course. Wasn't able to get a quality lap. He tried to go down the inside of Doug Gowans, locks up and hard into the wall, and I think that could very well be our first safety car of the night, Peter, if he can't get this back to pits. That was absolutely
well, what do you think of that one, mate? They were both really deep, testing the limits. It kind of looks like he wants to enter going backwards. Big damage on that car.
No safety car at the moment. Doesn't appear to be out on track.
One thing I've noticed also is they're pretty reluctant to call a safety car. They would rather keep the racing flowing. We've seen that the last couple of rounds. Grotch and Hasler, though, are starting to really to push out here. Flashing of the lights from a couple of the drivers. So what do we got? Lap traffic on lap 3.
Yeah, mate, already, and it's coming down to the GTPs that have been kind of in the pits and then coming back out of the pits as well. So these guys already going a lap down. They're going to have to hope for a safety car out of this one just to try and get back into this race. But the gap already for Hasler and Grotch is already out to around about 3.4 seconds back to Simpson in P3. It's It's then 9/10 back to Crummy out of P4. Ferguson's had something happen to him. He's dropped a couple of spots here. So we'll have to see if he can come back from this. We saw he had pace in practice and qualifying. It's whether he can bring it with him here into the race setting and try and make up some positions.
And one positive for him as well is he can have a look at the battle that's going to be unfolding in front of him. I think that's Ty Delaney and Brunky, is it? So that may slow them two down and bring him back into it. So Ferguson, he won't be. Oh, here we go. Oh, big moment on board there. Probably the best view for it, and loses quite 2 positions out of it.
Ty Delaney drops a couple of spots off a mistake through one of the most dangerous sections of track. If you catch that curb on the inside there, it was on the right-hand side of the screen, it can just spit you across into the wall. We've seen many a moments happen like that over the sim racing journey out here at Sebring. So very, very lucky there not to get caught out and pulled into the wall off that. Let's see how the leaders of the GT3 class are going. Greg Barber leading the way, 2.2 seconds to his teammate Adam Hughes out of P2 at the moment. Hughesy under massive pressure right now from Ryan Green in behind him here, and all these porkers are just starting to crawl up the field a little bit, although Carlton Hodgson in the Lambo, we spoke about the Lambo, he's still trying to stick with these guys as best as he can.
Yeah, there's battles everywhere you look in this class, I've noticed, and the pressure's on right here for Hughes, and maybe that week off he's got a bit rusty, but a mistake from the Ryan Green that was. Oh, that's a bit of breathing room now. Try and say that quick 3 times. I couldn't even say it normal pace.
Troy Maguire into the chat as well. He must be out of this race saying, "G'day, boys." Saw him have the issue early on. He is in the pit, so I'd say maybe that's him done for the night. But, I mean, look at this view here of this Sebring circuit. A little bit low res, of course, being that it's in the sim, but Barbs, he's having a good race in that CXR car, and he is just going to try and cut lap after lap for another 39 or so minutes in this race and hope to come home P1.
Well, he's in the best place to do it, and he's got a lead. He's got a lead early. I don't think that's going to be too much of his strategy. I think what we've seen in this series so far is just a splash and dash at the end is all it takes to get home. So we know that one safety car sort of brings everyone back together, but we all know what Sebring's like. You can have really, really long green running, and it's good to get a start that we did, and a couple of drivers with handy leads, and some people like handy leads and some people like to be in the fight the whole time, but Barbs is enjoying this, but enjoy this battle up in front here with these guys in GTP.
Ferguson and Miller, as Ferguson goes down the inside, a fantastic move from him there. He had the toe down the main straight and he got it done when he needed to. That puts him up into P5 now. So into the top 5 for him here. He's got a little bit of time to gain on Crummy up ahead of him, about 3.2 seconds. But these fishy boys will be hoping that he can just drag them along and pull them up the field with him as they start to approach the GT3s for the first time this race.
And that's always interesting when that comes up. I envision, well, we're already coming up to them now, 7 minutes in, so we're probably going to come up to them probably another 2 times throughout this one, and we all know that, especially when a couple of battling GTPs come across a couple of battling GT3s, it's no one wants to yield. No one wants to yield, and it can be interesting, but only time will tell.
Well, it's all about just those GT drivers staying predictable. The GTPs can easily go around them at most sections of the circuit. So if those battling GT3s can just kind of keep the head cool, realise they've got faster cars approaching, just chill out for a moment and sit in behind each other, then it won't be too long before the prototypes are able to get by them and move on their merry way up the field to lap some more drivers. So hopefully we can see some smarts by some of those battling drivers out there.
And I think we will. That'll play out as it has throughout this season. Run through the 5. Groch, Hasler, Simpson, Crum and Ferguson for GTP. Barber, Hughes, Hodgkinson, Shotter and Frame for your GT3s. So they're pretty close, but these guys now are just trying to click over laps. 9 minutes in to a 45-minute race. Plenty of racing coming here. I hope you're enjoying the night as well, you guys. And Troy just answered in comments as well. Yeah, he's done. So that's unfortunate, Troy, but come back strong next week.
You can see here the GTP leader has already caught these GT3 leaders as well. I think Adam Hughes might not have been very happy there with the pass by Hasler, just kind of cutting him off into the braking zone. But unfortunately, that's what he's got to deal with here, being in the slower class car. You know, those guys are going to get by as safely as possible. No matter how you feel about how the pass was done, there was no contact, no one had a crash there. You know, I think game on, just keep on driving.
That's right, and you can always remember that sort of stuff. And we say small battles like that, they're won and lost on the racetrack. So he just let him go with it, and he goes righto. But down the track, race drivers have long memories, so plenty of time to just return serve, obviously in the same manner.
See here what the gap is like up to Barber. It's still staying about the same here, 2.8 seconds, as Hughesy's now getting caught by the battle pack of Adam Simpson and Luke Crum. Crummy, though, has now got Fergo not too far behind him here. He's actually really started to close that gap, as you can see. I think the traffic's actually started to pay dividends for him. Crummy had to kind of sit behind those GT3s through sort of the second to last couple of corners there, leading down towards the straight. So it's really done the velocity driver a bonus here, as he's now not too far away from P4 and P3.
Yeah, and this is what we see when they come across lap traffic, is you need to use them. They're there. You got to get around them, and he's doing nicely. As I said at the top of the broadcast, Crummy and his team at LCR, mate, they're well versed around here, and I could be wrong, but I think the 12 hour is the only one that team haven't come away with the jockey. So definitely a track that's eluded him in the past, but it looks strong here tonight, but could be under pressure soon.
Yeah, well, I mean, as we mentioned, we both know Crummy is a strong operator. It's whether he can actually get up to Simpson, have a bit of good luck, maybe with a safety car or an incident happening, because he's going to try and make up 9 seconds to get to the back of Hasler. So that's not 9 seconds to the leader. That's 9 seconds to the back of P2, who is then a further 2 seconds away from the leader in Grotch. So these two Frog Leap boys, they are really starting to push the limits and pushing that gap out to as far as they can before we get to the pit stop period here tonight.
Grows for those boys, doesn't it? Challenge after challenge, just get that 0.9, get that, a couple of seconds, but you just can't get overwhelmed by the gap. You just got to keep hitting your marks, because everyone makes mistakes. Don't want to commentate or curse anyone, but everyone makes mistakes. Have that in the back of your mind and do what you can do. And generally, if you finish the race unscathed, well, results come. But watch for that for the end. We've still got, over half an hour to go. So it's still plenty of racing, and these guys, they're putting on a show for us now as they start to get through their strategies.
Very interesting to see what some of these strategies are. Not 100% sure on the fuel numbers and when they'll be needing to come in, knowing that normally 45 minutes is a regular stint length for a GTP car. The GT3s can normally go about an hour, but it is dependent on if the fuel is limited in this series or not. If it's limited, then they will need a pit stop. If not, then they should be able to make 45 minutes on a tank of fuel, maybe with a little bit extra. So that's what's going to be really the depending factor here tonight for these prototypes.
How good would it to be to see 45 minutes of green running, and people's strategies have to play out, and track position is key, and see if that's like that at the end. But Sebring, it can throw up a curveball like a Bathurst and like even a Laguna Seca at any given moment. So stick around, because these guys, the battles are just starting to form, and these guys are just going with the race. Still plenty of driving and go, but these guys out ahead in these GTP cars, Grotch and Hasler, really showing the field that they're not here to mess around. 10 seconds is the gap that P3 has to make up.
Stefan McCartan, race controller, has just confirmed for us in chat. Fuel cap for the GTPs is 65%, GT3s is 50%, so we will definitely see a pit stop here tonight for both classes of cars. We go on board with Ryan Green. He had a little off track before, but he is still rolling around at the moment, still going. As Chris Tomlin has had an incident. What's happened to him here? Let's have a look. We were looking at his teammate in Luke Crum for a fair while there. He's trying to go for the dive bomb on one of the GT3s. Locks up, goes all the way down the escape road, and then just has to traverse around the extended portion of circuit here. So nothing too crazy, but that'll cost him some time for sure.
Yeah, definitely. If we do see long green runs, but he knew straight away he wasn't pulling that up. He would have been saying in chat, no, whoop, 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 up, and he pulled out of it. Sometimes you can still think that you can pull it up and turn into the corner, and it's a lot worse than what that was. But good driving from him as we go back to Ryan Green. Really starting to really kick it up a notch now and start to make some moves. He gained under braking there, so he knows where he's strong.
You see here, he's not letting Husey run away from him too much. I've had a couple of commentating gigs with Ryan previously. Also a couple of chats with him after races. He did race in the IMSA series that I hosted, and of course was one of the commentators for the GR86s for a little while. Back to racing now though, and it's actually good to see that he's got some good pace about him here, and he's sticking it to arguably the talk of the GT3 field.
He is really in the Hughes. He is the class above. He's showing that again tonight, and I think I said it was cockiness, having a couple of weeks off, but when you got to do it, you got to do it. And well, if anyone's going to win a championship with missing a couple of rounds, Husey can do it. But have a look at Greeny. He's saying, mate, that wasn't a wise move taking them 2 weeks off because I'm going to be here.
See here, we can see the gap ahead of Hughes. It's 4.7 seconds. He can't even see his teammate Greg Barber ahead of him. But look at the gap in behind to Green here as they come round towards the back straight. You see it under brakes. That Porsche getting uber close here. He wants to try and park the tent right underneath the rear wing. Not quite close enough off the exit. I don't know if he'll actually be able to get a run down towards the final corner here to make a move, but he'll just be wanting to stay in that tow, save a bit of fuel as we've got a GTP coming around them now. That looks like Chris Tomlin in behind. And this time he actually manages to get it done without going into the escape road.
Yep, got it done quite comprehensively. Good bit of racing from both classes there as they were predictable, but good run out of the corner for Hughes and also out for Green. So Green's just got to stay in and around about that gap he's got now and hope with the pressure that the crisscross driver of Hughes will make a mistake.
This just for a second here. Hasler has now gapped Simpson by 13, nearly 14 seconds. So these top two drivers are just having a field day right now out there, but Simpson under pressure from the two drivers of Luke Crum and Jordan Ferguson. His teammates Miller and Delaney, they're a bit far down the field at the moment to really give him some support here. So he's almost like a fish out of water right now, you could almost say, for the Fishy Motorsport driver. He could be under attack here from the LCR car and the Velocity car in behind.
Yeah, and you can, when you're running with a team like the LCR boys here, around, you know, a car 4 position in the same class, you can almost bully them. Maybe not into a mistake, but you can just leave them high and dry. And I think these LCR guys, they might just do that. As not too sure if he's pulled away or they've just dropped back a bit. But watch for a lunge, and I don't think Crummy's going to go unless he can take Chop with him.
I think Chop's a bit too far away at the moment from him to really have that challenge, being, of course, Tomlin's back in P13. Crummy's up P4 at the moment, so it's going to be a bit hard for him to take him with him unless they're trying to get the lap back for Chop. But it's really going to be if he wants to give Ferguson a hand. We know there's a bit of a working relationship between Velocity and LCR. They've shared drivers in past, and they've got a good relationship as friends as well. But it's whether they want to work together on track or they want to battle on track. That's going to be the question. As Michael Schroeder has had an incident on track, Peter. Let's quickly check it out and see what he's done here. If it will actually load it up for me. Yes, it will. You see here in the Ferrari coming down towards the back straight. What's he done here? Has he lost at mid-corner? He has. And then into the tyre barrier. That is massive contact. We've seen that a lot of times previously in these cars around this track. I remember when broadcasting the Sebring 7 hour. We saw it just countless times. No matter what car type it was, people were struggling on mid-corner there, around at the second to last corner.
Yeah, it's one of them points we spoke about, wasn't it? You got to be careful on the entry and the exit. So that's one victim I think we've seen there, and I don't think it's going to be the last. They really got to watch that as the you know, if they overheat their tyres or something like that coming into there with hot tyres, that possibly might have been the case. But definitely a little bit of a soft lose there, but heavy impact into the tyres.
Braden O'Loughlin in the chat as well, saying 2 guesses who forgot all about tonight's race. Going to assume it was Braden. Unfortunate for you, Braden, but hopefully it can stand as a reminder that the race will happen again next Friday night, same time as always.
Same time, same bat channel, isn't it, here on SRWtv? But he'd be very proud with what his boys are doing out there.
Oh, mate, I think you know, anyone from SRWleague would be pretty happy with how the boys are doing in the GTPs at the moment, of course, although Harry Dodd's down the order a little bit in the GT3s. We know he's got pace, though. He should be able to come back up the order and get a respectable, I think, inside the top 10 in class for him should be pretty reasonable.
Yeah, Harry Dodd's rear of grid. Not too sure what position he started, but he's in 9th at the minute. So if I just scroll down a little bit, he's probably down 3. So that would be down 3 from where he started, or quali, Hamish? I'm not too sure about that.
Yeah, I think it's where he qualified, I want to say. I'm pretty sure SDK, the timing goes off where you qualify, not where you actually start on the grid. I'm pretty sure as Ferguson comes in early, so he comes in, he follows the leaders in. So both Roch and Hasler have come in, as well as Ferguson here. So he wants to try and play the same strategy as those leaders. We'll have to see if it can pay off for him here and see if he can actually get a bit of an undercut on both Crummy and Simpson, who now go P1 and 2 off the back of that.
It's up to Crummy and Simpson now to work together, and although there's 1.2 between them, and just really put in an outlap. Good stop for both of them guys. They're going to probably filter in, where's that, about 7th position, and see what happens with the rest of the field. But strategies are a little bit fluid, as we can see. I don't think it's going to take too long for the rest of the field to jump. I think most of the field will be in probably around about 3 or 4 laps, or are they waiting for a safety car, I suppose, but it's all happening.
I think Roch really got the benefit there. He came out ahead of Gowans, who then lets Hasler pass. Luckily for them, Roch is that Gowans is actually lap traffic. So if he was actually on the same lap as them, he would have been able to battle them. As Adam Simpson has had a crash, he was leading this race. What has he done here? Well, that's off the back of it. Let's see if we can get a better view just to see here what's actually happened. Got another one here for him. What's he done here? It's come around turn 1. He's got Crommy right behind him. Got a GT3 ahead. And he spun round turn 2. He caught the curb, and that's what rotated him.
He unsettled the rear. That was quite evident. It almost lifted the rears off the ground, and he spun it around, and it's a very slow U-turn, wasn't it? So that'll really be costly. I don't think he got much damage, but definitely costly in track position.
Well, that should now mean that Jordan Ferguson could very well easily get past him, as Marty Mitchell went a bit wide there. He wasn't quite prepared for that section of circuit, but he's still rolling around, not in any strife at the moment. But what this has done is it's now dropped Simpson back to P4, although he has not pitted yet. It's now giving Crummy a bit of a benefit, as well as Ferguson, who's already pit and was within that battle between those 3 guys.
It's going to be interesting where they all filter out now, isn't it? Now that we had that little bit of a mistake, I just noticed a little bit of an off-track for Ty Delaney, but Simpson, he's got his head down now, and I know the Fishy Motorsport boys, they'd be all saying, mate, don't worry about it, head down, it's a mistake, just go again, and that's what being a part of a great team's about, and he'll have the support and push on, albeit he's in 4th position and still in a pretty good spot, but he did lose a little bit of track position there, but I'm sure he'll be okay. He's got a lot of pace under that GTP car.
We'll have to see here what he can do over the course of the rest of this race. Of course, we are etching closer and closer to the halfway point. In fact, we're actually past halfway point now. My math is completely off because 25 minutes, another 25 minutes will make 50 minutes. So we're just past the halfway point of this race now. I would say majority of the drivers should come in pretty soon, being that it's better to kind of half your stint than to kind of go, you know, 3/4 to 1/4 just based on how your tyres can react in the latter half of a stint.
Especially you might find yourself in the heat of the battle if we get a safety car in the latter stages of the race, and if you haven't really timed your pit stop well. We know these tyres can go long stints, but the whole aim of the game really, isn't it, Hamish, to have the greenest tyres at the end of the race to get you home. And the Ty Delaney come down the lane. There was an incident come up there before. I wonder if that little incident he had just probably on the last lap was reason why he came in this lap.
It might have just maybe upset the tyres a little bit. Let's check out what happened to him when he went off track. He's come round. Oh yeah, he's just run wide. So I reckon he might be struggling on those tyres a little bit maybe. We just thought it might be just beneficial just to come in, change the set, kind of reset after that. We could see before though where Adam Simpson was. Here he is on track, coming up to the back of Callum Hodgkinson. But not too far behind him is Brandon Groch, who is following him behind Keegan Caldwell at the moment. So this is provisional P1 we're on board with. Currently P6 on track, but he has to deal with the traffic at the moment. You can see there the GT3 really struggling, as well as Caldwell ahead just struggling to get around them there. What this is doing is at least helping a little bit Jordan Ferguson, who is not too far away, but it's bringing him back into the fight now for a possible top 3, maybe even a top 2 if something happens to any of the other drivers.
Yeah, that's why you got to make sure when you execute passes against lap traffic that they know, you sort of get the feeling if they know you're there, and you got to make the passes when you know that they know you're there, if that makes sense, because you want to make the pass seamless. And if you've got to wait a corner, sometimes that's safer, but it's important to get your passes right against lap traffic, especially when you've got these battles going on. Ferguson and these leaders, although they're not neck and neck on track, they are definitely racing as Chop just goes around. Great spot there, and it's at that final corner. That's
yeah, it was almost 3/4 around there. The car just kind of went away from him. As Ty Delaney's had another incident, let's just see what it was. It might be nothing or it might be something, but we need to make sure. Remember, he's just come out of the pits. He's on cold tyres, hopefully not pushing too hard, as it appears he is, as he goes sideways through the danger corner there. A very odd spot to lose it, but those brand new tyres will not be liking that. They will feel a little bit cooked a little bit too early on into the sesh.
See, that's one way to make your job harder, and that's cook a fresh set of tyres. So, yeah, he's going to have a painful few laps, and if not the rest of his race. It's unlucky. He's just got to calm himself down and reset, mate. But they're pushing on. What do we got? Simpson, Edwards, Groch, Hasler. That will change. That's your top 4. And Hughes, Hodgkinson, Barber, and Shotter. It's your top 4 in your GT3s. But that will change, obviously, as the strategies come in.
So, interestingly enough, the undercut worked for Ferguson. Crummy's come out P7. So this now puts Jordan Ferguson provisional P3 at the moment. As Adam Simpson has had yet another crash. Let's quickly see what's happened to him, and then we'll check out how the GT3s are going. He's coming round towards the second to last corner. What happens to him here? Oh, he catches the curb and it spits him round. Just touches the wall, but that will unsettle the car. You can see the front wheel is heavily damaged on that car. He will have to come in for sure for some repairs. Not too distant in the not too distant future, Peter.
Yeah, that's unlucky again for Simpson as he re-enters the track, and well, that's what you don't want. And these cars are fairly fragile as well. They don't like really been rubbed up against the wall or making contact with the wall or another car too many times during a race. So it's going to slow him down. And even if these guys have fast pairs, you're going to lose too much time. So may have to grin and bear that if it's not too bad.
It's interesting now, the battle for P3 in GTP class. Jacob O'Reilly is now back in the battle for this. So he is now in contention for a top 3. He has completed his pit stop. He did it on lap 10. So he should be able to get all the way down to the end of this race. I would expect the majority of these GT3s, the majority of them have already come in, barring Adam Hughes and Alexander Ganotis, who came in on the at the start of the race. So obviously that's a bit of a glitch in the system, but those two boys yet to do their proper pit stop for the GT3 field. Greg Barber came in on lap 12. Actually, no, sorry, he came in lap 13. Barbs came in lap 13. So Hughes still waiting to commit to that pit stop.
Yeah, well, I think you'll see the first 2 drivers in the GT3. You'd probably say they go in together and stay on the same strategy, albeit there's a little bit of, actually there's not a lot of gap between them, is it? Is it 500 metres?
Well, Barb's already came in, so he came in on lap 13. Hughes is about 30 seconds up the road, but he needs to do his pit stop. So it's around about a 49-second travel time down the lane, so you'd expect Barber to actually retain the lead when he comes past the pit lane when Adam's in there.
Yeah, well, we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. But definitely Barber's going to give Hughes a run, I think, hopefully, towards the end of this race. 31 minutes into 45. So, we're in the last quarter of this one so far, and it's been pretty good. The guys now, I think, I don't think they were thinking it was going to be green the whole way. And I'll just say so myself, that was a lot of thinking.
Well, Jacob O'Reilly has now gotten past Jordan Ferguson here for P3. Crummy's now back. No, he's not actually, sorry. That's Chop who's involved here. He's, of course, lap traffic for these guys. So he should be getting those blue flags for Jordan to let him past. He doesn't want to have to hold him up here, because if he does, it means Jordan's going to have to fight hard to try and chase down O'Reilly. We know that he's got pace. We know that he is a big challenger for tonight's race. So he does not want to let him gain any advantage whatsoever.
Yeah, that's right. And O'Reilly, his last lap time was the 1:44.07, 44.02 for Hasler, so matching Hasler in lap speed. So he'll be glad about that. And Grotchi, he's 43.75, and Dodds with a bit of a mistake now, and it's that part of the track.
Well, I believe he's hit the curb of death, as it is known. So he's come round here, clipped the curb, and he has. And it's just spat him out into the wall. Luckily, that car is one of the only GT cars with a front engine, because if that was rear engine, that could have been race ending if he wasn't careful. But look at this, drifting round the corner and massive contact into the wall. And he, I feel, should definitely have to come in this lap, Peter, and get that car fixed.
Yeah, well, he's cooked them tyres. That was quite evident. And then, well, he come in a little bit too hot. And, yeah, it was a drifting moment. And I do believe he's towed from the circuit, mate. So I'm not too sure what that means.
Well, he's still sitting there at the moment. He's sitting on the side of the track at the moment. This may be a safety car. We may have our first safety car of the night. Tyson McAvoy, of course, at the helm, and we do. So this will be the first safety car here out at Sebring. We bring up the graphic on screen. Hide the class display, of course. And well, this is now going to be a good time for us to reset. What this is also going to do is it's going to bring Luke Crum back into the fight for the top 4. And it's actually going to bring Jacob O'Reilly back in for the fight for the victory, because instead of him being 17 seconds off the lead, he's going to be under a second off the lead, because he's going to be right on the back of Hasler in P2.
And aren't the guys lucky that they pit when they did? I do believe that though everyone's been down the lane now. So, I feel for the... Oh, no, so we've got Caldwell down the lane as well. So I wonder where this is... What's that going to mean for them leaders, mate? But it's brought everyone back together, hasn't it? Groch, Hasler and O'Reilly, Ferguson. Look, probably the top 5, if they can stick with the 2 quick Frog League cars, this is going to be a ripper last 10.
Well, what this is going to mean is there's going to be no lap traffic for at least 5 minutes, right? They're not going to catch the GT3s again, probably until maybe the second to last lap. So it means that O'Reilly, Ferguson, Crum, they're just going to have to focus on hitting their best times and sticking with these Frog Leap boys. But remembering as well the tactic that some teammates use in that they will actually say to each other, you know, if it's leading car, they'll say, right, I'm going now. And the other car will then follow them to get the jump on P3 behind or whoever's in behind them. So watch this restart because it could be a race-changing restart if these guys don't get it right.
Yeah, that's one bonus that them guys have. They work together, and you watch. I think places like this is probably going to be a good example to display it to everyone that you'll probably see a little bit of a weird place to go. Will he go just before the exit of the last corner, or will he hold them down there? I don't think this restart is going to be on the generic on the exit of the final corner. I think we're going to see something funny from these Frog Leap cars, but they've got an ace up their sleeve with having the in comms and saying we're gone. And well, if O'Reilly and Ferguson and Crum aren't switched on to that, they could get left behind.
Well, that's exactly what they don't want. We saw the start was perfect from them at the start of the race. You know, they were able to take advantage. They were able to just to slot into P1 and 2. But now, you know, they've got O'Reilly right up behind them again, who's now going to have another crack at getting into the top 2. So this is what's going to be an interesting part of this race. If I can just find the start of the race, I'm actually going to get a replay up of it, but it's going to take me a minute here. But I mean, what a race it's already been so far, Peter. I mean, it's just some wild incidents occurring, you know, and I think it is definitely going to be an incredible final, probably I'd say 7 minutes of racing, because I'd say the safety car would come in next lap by the time the waiver rounds are done. So it could be on here, maybe even just for a little 5-minute sprint, as I'm just going to bring up the replay of the start here from the GTP. So this was at the start of the race. This is what happened last time we had a rolling start. And we can see here the advantage that those Frog Leap boys had. They were just able to gap O'Reilly, and he got sucked into the battle between the cars in behind. So it's going to be interesting to see what the play is this time off the restart.
Yeah, definitely. They, I did note when they started when they started the race, the mid-pack fanned out, and I almost held my breath because it looked like we are going to go down, 5 wide down into turn 1. But thankfully that wasn't the case, and hopefully that doesn't happen again. Although it's good TV, isn't it, watching them go 5 wide? But for these guys' race, they really got to stay in that single line and work together. But I don't think that's going to be a drama. But I don't know, mate. Something tells me to keep an eye on O'Reilly. What I've seen in practice and so far tonight, he's got a point to prove. I think he's definitely got the pace, and he's just got to outsmart these froggies.
It's going to be all about how well he can tell when they're going to go. It's whether they're going to go at the same time they did last time, or if they're going to go any earlier. Where do you think, Peter, is going to be the best chance for them to go? Personally, maybe mid-exit, final corner. Going to give them a good run onto the straight. It might be the most risky place, but I think it's actually going to be the most beneficial.
Yeah, you would go earlier, not later. I'm more inclined of that as well. And I possibly might even bring it back around the corner just a little bit, then probably halfway possibly, and try and fool someone. But I still do stand by we're going to see something different here, but I think you're onto something. I don't think it's going to be beneficial to hold them until the line. They can, of course, but I don't think it's going to be beneficial because it's just going to check up everyone and they're not going to get a run. You want to get away with them, get away from them, not stay close to your competitors. So I reckon, yeah, you're right, mate. Halfway around the corner, I reckon maybe even a little bit before.
Yeah, maximising that corner speed is really going to maximise the run down the straight. You know, if you hold them all the way to the line, it's not only going to, hinder the run down to turn 1, it's also going to be predictable because people are going to know, well, if they haven't gone yet, they're likely to go at the line. and then we know just to get on the gas as soon as we hit the start-finish line. But yeah, you want to try and just pick your point to absolute perfection. They did it well off the race start, so they know how to do it. It's whether they can do it again and get the advantage over O'Reilly early here for these last 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch as well. And I think by the sound of the race control counter in the background, we may be getting set for a restart. I think all the wave arounds are done. And then, well, the time for sort of not guessing, trying to work out what these boys are going to do. We're just about to see it.
Right, that is wave around.
So who will it be off the restart? Will it be O'Reilly? Will it be Hasler? Or will it be Grotch? Or could we see an outside run from possibly Ferguson, Crum or Edwards in behind? This race is nowhere near over, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have probably about 4 minutes of running here tonight. I'd say 2 to 3 laps left of this race as the safety car has now pulled away from the field. Control will go to Brandon Grotch out of P1 for the number 2 Frog Leap Juice Racing entry. And it's going to be, as we mentioned, all about the restart. He needs to get this to absolute perfection as we roll on down towards the final corner. And we await to get to go racing once again.
Well, it's all now, isn't it? You're going to set. You can't weave anymore. Get ready for the restart. The guys will be shushing everyone in Discord now. But when does Grotch and Hasler go? They're holding him. They're holding him.
I think have they gone just yet? Doesn't appear to be so. I think they're still holding.
On. Oh, no.
They haven't gone. I think they've gone now. So we are underway once again. O'Reilly's been able to run with him. Ferguson's been left behind just slightly here as we come through turn number 1. Massive pressure for P4 in behind, but the top 3 have gotten away nice and cleanly here. Can't really see anything in behind them at the moment.
Yeah, I tell you, they left me lapping as we got a battle here. Tomlin will just let the Velocity Sim driver get past him, but it's a good restart from the GTPs. It's all on though. They don't want to get away. No gap between the GT3s either, and they look to have got off to a great start. Have a look at that Barber out in front of Adam Hughes there. So that's great to see. Hughes, remember, I think had to come down pit road.
Oh, that's Adam Simpson off the road once again. I'm sorry we missed it as we went to check out the GT3s, but that's now dropped him down the order a little bit as well. Of course, he was already having a tough race. He's going to get past these guys fairly quickly, but I mean, we were talking all about the GTPs. We failed to mention the fact that the GT3s were now also going to be bunched up, as Barber was going to have a massive lead, irrespective of that safety car. So this has now brought him back in the fight. Look at Ryan Green trying to go up the inside into P2. Massive move there from the AVR driver. CXR car of Adam Hughes, though, he's going to want to have to come back at him here into this next section of corners. They're going to run 2 wide. Hughesy's got the run. Green, though, has the inside line. Who's going to get the benefit as they come down towards the corner of death? Ryan backs out of it. Smart move from him. Tomlin's gone off the track as we come down the back straight once again. It's also now brought Callum Hodgson back into the fight too, Peter.
Yeah, it has. Cal, he's, as I mentioned, he's practicing, but what driving from Green? He went around, he's battled with Hughes, and this, we've, off the restart, you did right. Forgot to mention these guys had no gap either, and the battles that we're going to see here today. But Green and Hughes, I think, is going to be the battle, and you don't want to let Barber get away. But they're doing good to stick with him. He's out to a little bit of a gap, but I'm sure these guys are well aware.
So Chop has now come into the pits after his little moment. Hughesy's gone as we clicked away there. One of the drivers has just spun round at the first corner. Who was that? Completely missed it. Who was it? I think it might have been Aaron Shoto, and you can see the damage on the front end of that 296 Ferrari. That has massive implications for this race. That now puts Hodgson was able to take advantage. He's now up onto the podium. Ryan Green was also involved. Let's just quickly see here a replay of it if we can. What happened here? Turn number 1.
Change cameras and it all happened. Let's see what he does. That shotter. Oh, as the car spun around him, had nowhere to go. He's collected him and ripped off his front, his bonnet and then his front end. So who was that in front of him? Was that Adam Hughes?
That was Ryan Green.
Ryan Green.
So this was the battle that we saw before. I'm just trying to get the exact moment up on screen for us here, just so then we have it to actually see the incident happen. This might have been it here if I bring this up. Yeah, so we see here Hodgkinson is just in behind. Green lost it midway around the corner, and Schotter had nowhere to go, as well as Schroeder in behind him. A shame for them, but we have to continue on as we get back up to the front of the field, as Green is now struggling to get around the circuit. So Grotch and Hasler, they are starting to gap a little bit back to O'Reilly, but this race is not over yet, as we are now on to the 45th minute of this race. This will be the final lap, Peter. So there's only about half a lap left for O'Reilly to get a move done on the cars ahead of him.
Yeah, these top four, Grotch, Hasler, O'Reilly and Ferguson, they're the four names you mentioned in the brief break in the race control that, not race control, safety car rather. These cars are going to be the one to watch. There's a bit of a gap between third and fourth, but has O'Reilly got anything in him? He's staying with Hasler. Grotch is starting to get away a little bit now, but about a second between each of these cars has it. The last lap of the race, as you've mentioned, have they got enough in it? A second is a lot to make up. Is the draft going to come into it, or is the top three going to be our podium? But definitely these guys are still pushing. 42.68 for O'Reilly, fastest lap of the race, and that was last lap.
Yep, so there's not going to be much in it. It's going to have to consist of a mistake from one of the top two cars if O'Reilly wants to improve. He needs to just stay controlled and consistent here through the final corner. You see Ryan Green in the background just struggling around. But as it looks at the moment, Brandon Grotch will come around the final corner. An excellent drive from him. A class above the rest today. He will take home P number 1 for the GTPs. Hasler out of P2. O'Reilly P3. Ferguson P4. Edwards comes home in P number 5 as we get back now to the GT3 field to see them cross the line and finish their race. Barber leading the way. He led the way by quite a fair bit, Peter. The gap was shrunken thanks to the safety car, but at the moment and as it stands, it's going to be a CXR 1-2-3 for the GT3s here tonight.
Oh, they'd be proud as punch. Greg Barber for the win. Adam Hughes behind him, and Cal Hodgkinson. He did say before we went on air today, I was chatting with him in Discord, that he feels comfortable, he feels fast, he's well versed around this track, and to come home in to third and watch his two other teammates of Greg and Adam come home virtually across the line together. I wonder if they form up for 1-2-3 finish. I think they just want to finish the race. There we go. Greg Barber, Adam Hughes, Kel Hodgkinson. Team 1-2-3. You can't do any better than that.
Schroeder out of P4. That's a good finish from him. And then Benici P5. Benici didn't even set a lap time in qualifying. He started at the rear of the field, and what a comeback that was to come home P5 from the American for Frog Leap Juice Racing.
Yeah, up 9 positions for him for the night. I do believe that is hard charger in class and a couple of the other not so lucky guys, Troy, Connor and Chris, who they were all in double figures in the other end of the scale, but they didn't finish. But can't take anything away from our leaders and Grotch. Just a perfect night, all in all. It's a hard car to drive. It's they're well versed around here, but that would have been a tough night in the office. But Frog Leap 1-2 in the GTP, and well, that's just good teamwork tonight. I think. Look at that. We've only got, I think, 4 teams to cover 6 positions, or not even 3 teams to cover 6 positions.
Yeah, I mean, it was super close, super tight in the end as these guys come around to park their cars on the podium positions. We will hope to chat to all 6 of the podium finishers here tonight. And, well, they are just doing the business right now, doing what they need to do, as we see massive burnout there from Hazard as he comes up to park his car. O'Reilly's gone into the pit, so he won't be there, but that'll be a good shot for the Frog Leap boys. Get a screenshot, Braden, if you're still in the chat, because well, that'll be a good Facebook background for their team if they want to use it.
Oh yeah, it would, wouldn't it? As we go back there, and yeah,
mate, you can
look at that. Just take it off the broadcast if you want. Good pictures here And I wonder a few of the drivers if they're going to have a rear grid. They look to all be getting down in pit road, so I think maybe a few of them drivers from last week and this week learnt, and we've all got fuel to get home. And here comes our GT3 winner, and what a race, Barber! I tell you, good couple of rounds from Barber, and in that class, the GT3, to have a 1, 2, 3. So it's in fact 2 teams for 6 positions. No, 3 teams.
3 teams because of Vermilion out of P3 in the GT3 GTP class. So they will be our winners here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. All of our podium finishers. We have got a couple boys in the green room, but we will wait for our GT3 drivers to get in there first because we do like to have a chat to them first, depending if they want to come have a chat to us, of course. Hopefully they do. I hope we're not that scary. That we can at least invite them in here. But while we do wait for all that to happen, we can run through our results for tonight's race, of course. So we will start with our GTPs. Get them up on screen. Brandon Grotch will finish at a P1 for Frog Leap Juice Racing. 2 tenths down the road from his teammate Scott Hasler at a P2. Jacob O'Reilly, unfortunate that the safety car didn't come any earlier. He didn't really just have enough time to bring the battle to them and really put a charge in for P2, but he comes home out of P3. Jordan Ferguson with his highest finish of the season out of P4 for Velocity Racing Team. That's a good drive from him, with Jake Edwards from CXR coming home out of P5. Luke Crum will finish out of P6 for LCR Esports here tonight, with Matthew Gerard coming home just ahead of his Velocity Simlabs teammate Cam Hardwick out of P7 and P8. Ty Delaney, the young gun, will come home out of P9 for Fishy Motorsports, with Ash DeVries on debut coming home in P10. Doug Gowans will then come home out of P11 with Keegan Colbell in P12. Adam Simpson, he had a good run for the majority of the race, but it just fell away from him at the end. He comes home out of P13. Chris Tomlin will come home 2 laps down out of P14, with Chris Miller 10 laps down in P15. Connor Nixon, quite a fair few laps down in a P16. And Troy Maguire, well, we saw he was out quite early there. Unfortunate with some damage on lap number 1, so he missed out on, he'll get a DNF here tonight. If we move over to the GT3s now, Greg Barber will come home out of P1 for CXR ahead of his 2 teammates, Adam Hughes in P2, Callan Hodgson P3. Michael Schroeder for Accelerate Sim Racing will come home out of P4, just ahead of Sean Benici out of P5 for Frog Leap Juice Racing. Patrick Frame will come home out of P6 for Respect the Meatball Racing, just ahead of Marty Mitchell from MX Raps Limit Bashers. Alexander Ganotis will come home just ahead of his Corsa Rosso teammate Aaron Schroeder out of P9. Ryan Green, unfortunately, got that damage on the second to last lap, will come home out of P10 for Alpha Venturi Racing, with Harry Dodds 7 laps down in P11 for Frog Leaped Juice Racing. We have got Adam Hughes, Callan Hodgson and Greg Barber in the green room, so we'll drag them all down and we'll have a chat with some of those CXR boys, Peter.
Oh yeah, it's going to be awesome to get a chat with them and see just how happy those boys would be. But a 1, 2, 3 finish for you boys. I don't know which one wants to answer it, but congrats from me. But 1, 2, 3. Did you come into this race thinking you could do it? That's open to all.
To be honest, no. It was good. We were sort of working well together in practice before the race, so we were sharing some setup ideas and whatnot. Cal changed cars a couple of times and settled on the Lambo, and worked out well for him.
It did, Cal. I spoke to you early, and I was talking to Hamish about it on air as well, that you felt comfortable at this track, and you're coming into this round confident. Well, you bagged a podium, mate. How did the race play out for you?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, the Lambo was balanced for me, so I managed to stay out of trouble. And, yeah, good work from Greg and Adam for 1, 2, 3. Yeah, can't complain, man. It's good.
Well, I mean, we saw Adam and Greg. You guys were kind of the dominant force once again, as we've seen previously in GT Racing on SRWtv. Adam, we'll go to you first, mate. Instead of you being the runaway man this time for CXR, it was really Greg for the majority of that race. What was your thought process when we found out there was going to be a safety car and that gap was then going to shorten? Were you thinking, I'll put the pressure on Greg and hope I can get past him, or was it just kind of, you're just going to let him have it?
I was hoping the safety car would have come out like prior to the pit stops, but I suppose the only problem when that happened was I had Ryan behind me, who was pretty fast, so I had to sort of try and manage him as opposed to Greg. I was happy with Greg taking the win because I think my championship's more or less done because I had the 2 rounds I missed the last 2 weeks due to work, whereas Greg showed up for all of them so far. So the focus is more or less on him and his championship, but still got the teams to worry about. But yeah, for drivers, it's more focused on Greg at the moment.
Yeah, big shout out to my buddy Adam. I'm a big fan of his.
I mean, we saw the pressure that Ryan was bringing on you, Adam, before he made an unfortunate mistake through turn 1. You guys are running pretty much too wide up towards the corner of death there. Was it a little bit of a hairy moment? Did you think he might go for it kind of round the outside into the inside of that corner, or were you happy that he kind of backed out and just slotted in behind?
No, I was expecting him well and truly to stick his nose there because whoever the GDP was that had spun out had sort of dive bombed myself and Ryan and to a degree Greg, and I wasn't expecting it as they were recovering from an incident. So that sort of distracted me, and that's when Ryan sort of stuck his nose in. Like, it was fair racing, it was all good, hard, fair, plenty of room given and all that. So there's no dramas at all. I was actually expecting him to poke his nose in, like, have a crack, son. So no dramas. If you're there, I'll let you have the room. But I'll make you work for it, though.
I mean, hard and fair racing is what we want to see out of not only the GTPs but also the GT3s as well, and it provides some great viewing for us. Unfortunately, Greg, the majority of that race, you provided a good viewing of racing excellence, but not so good in terms of having us have any battles on screen to see you in. But, I mean, still a phenomenal race from you for the majority of that. You led away nice and early, built the gap as what you needed. Was it kind of just head down, eyes forward and trying to push as hard as you could, or just you were a little bit lucky to build that gap thanks to Adam having a battle in behind?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always happy to not have Adam on my backside because, he's pretty quick, pretty aggressive. But, at the start of the race there, I could see Adam and Ryan sort of staying close together in my mirrors, and obviously Ryan was getting a decent tow. So once I was able to sort of pull a couple of seconds, I just sort of knuckled down and tried to extend that as much as I could. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do in the pit stops. I ended up actually mucking it up a bit and taking tyres that I didn't want. So that cost me a little bit on the couple of outlaps that I had where I was trying to bring. I think I mucked it up and only changed front tyres. So it was a bit loose in the first couple of laps out of the pits, and because I obviously had fresher rubber on the front. It took me a couple of laps to get back up to speed, and from there I was just able to sort of control it a little bit.
Very good, boys. Well, who wants to let us know who's given CXR the support out there, and anyone else they want to give a shout out to?
That's up to you, Greg. That's
thanks, mate. Yeah, obviously, big supporters of Crisscross Racing, Shunt Scenery, Palmerston Bakery, DSM Painting Contractors, pretty good, I hear. Jennifer Russell Real Estate, Doom Designs, and Poolmaster Bayside are with us throughout the season. Thanks to those guys.
Very good, boys.
And you had sponsors, didn't it? And great win for the team, and I'm sure the sponsors would love it. Hamish, mate, that team 1, 2, 3, they've backed the winner, I think, their sponsors.
Oh, mate, for sure. I would hope that a lot of those boys and girls back at their respected sponsors would want to try and get a photo of the 3 cars together on track, hang them up on the wall possibly, but of course, that's up to their discretion. But thanks a lot, boys, for coming to have a chat to us. Massive congratulations on a 1, 2, 3 here tonight. A podium lockout for CXR. It was a very impressive performance from all of you boys, especially to you, Callan, in that Lambo. I know it's a tough car to drive sometimes, but you to get on the podium, of course, you have to stay as clean as possible. And you boys, you were the cleanest for the majority of that race.
Yeah, thanks, boys. Hope to talk to you next week.
No
Cheers,
worries,
fellas.
boys. Good luck.
Cheers.
It takes skill to finish like that with a team 1, 2, 3. Hamish, not many times in real life you see it, and definitely not many times on iRacing. But we just witnessed something pretty brilliant and pretty special here tonight at Sebring. But Crisscross Racing boys, they may be a little bit dusty for work tomorrow because they may stay in Discord and celebrate a little bit.
I wouldn't blame them, mate. Would not blame them at all. Luckily, tomorrow is a Saturday, so hopefully, they don't have to work tomorrow. But let's bring in our GTP podium now of Scott Hasler, Jacob O'Reilly, and Brandon Grotch. Boys, what a performance it was from all of you here tonight. Jacob, we'll start with you, mate. P3 in the race. You started off that restart at a P4 behind Ferguson. You got the move done as early as possible, and then, well, basically it was just up to you to try and close that gap. Maybe not quite enough time, though, to get it done.
Yeah, it's they worked pretty well together up in front of me, and didn't quite have the pace that they did. So that's the way it is. I probably shouldn't have binned it on the first lap, but that's what you get.
Yeah, Jake, it's Pete here, mate. What was your preparation leading into the race? Did you prepare for long green runs like we had tonight? Because it was, although it was rough, a little bit rough at the start, we stayed green, and it seemed like it was going to stay green for the whole race. Did you prepare for that, or did that come as a surprise?
My preparation is literally begging for a spot in this series this afternoon, and then just IMSA this week. I think now that I'm in, I'll put some bit more time into the next one. But I don't think it would have made a difference anyway. Full props to the blokes who finished 1 and 2, to Brandon and to Scott. They would have had the pace on me anyway, so yeah.
Definitely quick, mate, and I think we'll be having a few chats. What do you reckon, Hamish, throughout the season, because he showed some pace tonight.
Yeah, absolutely mega pace from you, Jacob, to make your way up the field as much as you did, and to stay within the fight through the field as well throughout the whole race. It's a credit to you and a credit to your ability to be able to race these cars. You did an incredible job, and I mean, not unfortunately, but the those SRWleague boys, they were just a class above the rest today. But you weren't handed P3. You had to fight for it, fight past Crummy and Fergo, but it worked out for you, and you get to come home in a P3.
Yeah, lovely result. Very happy with it, and got to have some great battles along the way. So cheers to everyone involved.
Oh, mate, let us know who's giving you the support out there and who's giving Vermilion the support as well, and anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to VM, all the blokes there. Such a great team to be around. And thanks to BMG for supporting us.
Very good, mate. Well, congratulations on your P3 here tonight. As Peter said, I'm sure this won't be the last time we get to speak to you this season, but good luck for next week out at Monza.
No worries. Cheers, boys.
Well, Peter, we had a 1-2-3 in here for GT3s. We now have a 1-2 finish for GTPs. Arguably a harder, I guess, achievement to get, because these GTPs are so hard and so fast to drive. And, well, Brandon, Scott, you boys were just a class above the rest today. How does this feel for you boys to get that 1-2?
It feels really good, to be honest, especially after the last 2 rounds I've had. I was telling Scott 2 weeks ago, Sebring, that would be our time, 1-2. So it was great to fulfill that.
And it's Pete here, mate. I know SRWleague, they do a lot of enduros in these types of cars. No stranger to Sebring. Obviously, you knew it was going to be your lap. What are your plans for Monza next week? You keen on that, and can you try and start a run off the back of this one too?
I'm very keen for Monza. I'm keen for any race in the GTPs, to be honest. It's the car I drive the most. I tend to do 2 or 3 IMSAs throughout the week, so let's go. Bring it on.
Well, there we go. Hamish, Brendan series, eh? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, I know, of course, we didn't have them out here tonight, but Jack Michelson, he's a big fan of these GTP cars. He took the win last week out at Le Mans. I know that he does a lot of IMSA and GTP driving during the week. He's a real official fiend. I think it could be a very interesting battle on hand between, obviously, yourself, Brandon, and Michelson, as well as even Blake Delaney, who wasn't even out there tonight, or even Michael Whiting. So a couple of big names out of the fight, as well as Troy Maguire out early due to an incident. But I think both you and Scott really put in the effort here tonight, and well, you put it out in the universe, mate. You said you get the 1-2 out at Sebring, and you backed it up.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully there's a few fights throughout the series. This track between me and Scott probably plays me more, so I wouldn't be surprised if Scott's got the pace on me in Monza, but hopefully he can bring it home next week and he can get his own win.
Well, Scott, how are you feeling about Monza next week, mate? I mean, we saw that you kind of, Brandon had a little bit of a gap over you for the majority of that race, although you had the really big gap in behind you. I think it got out to about 17 seconds at one point back to P3. Were you kind of just, cruising around, following Brandon around tonight, or were you having a push to stay with him?
Yeah, no, I was having to push pretty hard. There wasn't too much team orders or anything in play. It was Brandon had the pace today, and I was pushing to keep up with him. And then I was pretty happy with the gap we had. And then of course it had to be one of our teammates that's had the incident and brought up the safety car at the end to give us a little bit of fun. It was all good. Just a little bit of a stressful moment that there's last lap or two, but all ended up our way in the end.
And Scott, just quickly before we wrap it up, mate, you mentioned the team, no team orders. Just tell us briefly what's the team feel at the moment, mate, because it looks like there's lots of team love in and amongst the fields that we're calling races for on SRWtv. It's no difference at Frogleaf, I'm guessing.
No, we all get along really well. Have a good time. First thing is just to be there and enjoy the racing. So we all sort of race hard but fair, and it's going well at the moment.
Enjoy this one, guys.
Cheers, fellas.
Oh, boys, let us know who's giving you boys and Frog Leap Juice Racing the support out there. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well? Now's your time to do so, because a 1-2 finish is a massive achievement for you boys and for your team as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
you can go, Scott.
No, you got the win. You take it away.
From all of us at Frog Leap, we'd like to thank all our sponsors: Juice Energy, Thimrigs.com, Racecraft, Hyperion Systems, Speed Gloves, and Pet Door Company. And I'd also like to give out one special thanks to my best mate, who was recently diagnosed with terminal cancer, stage 4. Just hope he can keep on fighting and we can beat it in the end.
Oh, very sorry to hear about that, Brandon. But hopefully he can beat this as quickly as possible, obviously. And I think I can speak for Peter and myself. We wish him the best of health and the best of luck in life's probably toughest fight he could ever have.
Yeah, hopefully he can recover soon. Bit of a shock to everyone, so especially him. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh, boys, thanks for coming and have a chat to us here tonight. I just want to let you know as well, hopefully you can pass this message on for me. I saw Rick Sibra have a good run last night for your team out in the Vets, so just say to him as well, congratulations on his good performance out in Split 1. Obviously, I called the action for him last season out of Split 2, where he took record 5 victories in one season. But I think you boys getting a 1-2 here tonight almost rivals that record in terms of impressive displays. But hopefully we get to have a chat to you again this season, and best of luck this week for Monza.
Yeah, thanks, fellas.
Thank you very much, fellas.
Well, that team's definitely in a good place with wins in the Vets as well. So I'll just add to that a little bit there, Hamish, that the teams are working well together, I think, around iRacing, and it's good to see so many people having fun. And well, I had fun tonight, mate, and it was a Friday night well spent here at Sebring, and let's kick on to Monza.
Yeah, mate, could be an absolutely mega round next time out. The next race we go to is at Monza next Friday night. It's going to be a massive one, of course. We're kind of chopping and changing between US and European tracks. Of course, last week was Le Mans. This week was Sebring. Next week, Monza. It's going to be an absolute cracker. And I know that track's really known for more Grand Prix racing, but, wow, production cars and prototypes and sports cars, they can really rip it up, especially through the Parabolica.
Oh, there's so many sections of that track to look forward to, isn't there? It's going to be wild. And lap traffic at Monza is going to play a lot more of a part than what we've seen in the last few rounds, albeit Watkins it did as well. But I think lap traffic next week at Monza is quite a few places there where you just can't get out of the way. So that's going to be interesting to watch. But all in all, Monza always you come out of there feeling pumped.
Oh, well, ladies and gentlemen, that will bring an end to our broadcast here tonight. From myself, Hamish, and from Peter, it has been a massive night of racing and a massive appreciation for everyone who has supported the series so far this season. Of course, your next broadcast here on SRWtv will be the Sunday night Simrigs Pro-Am in the supercars. It's going to be a massive night of racing. Shibby back in the comms for that one. And it's going to be one of the best races I think you'd want to try and check out. Just while I am talking that up, I'm just going to quickly see where the race is being held. I know that it is quite quick here. Of course, this week is going to be held out at Watkins Glen, so it's going to be a very interesting race. Of course, the Shadow Series has been there previously. The supercars go back there this weekend. I do believe. Oh no, it might be Miami this weekend. No, it's Miami this weekend. I apologise. Miami Road Course, which I'm very excited about when I found out that was going to be on the Supercars calendar, because that is one of my favourite Roval courses in all of iRacing, is that Homestead Miami course, and it's going to be absolutely phenomenal in those Supercars.
Yeah, it's a brave track choice, isn't it? But again, it's a track where you don't really get away from your competitors, and it entices the two wide action, and yeah, that's another cracker. So tune in for that one as well.
Oh, well, thank you everyone for checking us out here tonight on SRWtv. Remember, if you haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button and hit the bell. We'll be doing a sim rig giveaway once we hit 1,000 subscribers. The only caveat is you must be subscribed when we do the draw. If you're watching this in post, please be sure to like the video as well and get into the comments, because any engagement we get will help expand the series. Big thank you to all of our series sponsors as well. DSL Rail Services, Neuro Power, Tempting Sweets, Grim Industries, Simrigs, Warren & Brown Tools, Shannon's, Racecraft as well. Thank you to all of those who support the series, as without you guys, we would not be able to produce the racing that we do. But from me and from Peter here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for your time. We thank you for joining us here for the SRWtv Warren & Brown Tools IMSA Shadow Series, Round 4 out at Sebring. We'll see you next Friday night for round number 5 out at Monza. But until then, bye for now.
Potato